My hot
Welcome
take
to
is
the Football Guys Dynasty Show. I started it quickly on purpose because it was funny. I was I bring guests on just to get them. We were talking about Parks and Rec, and
mhm.
I did a Joan Calamezzo. I got you. I almost caught you singing, but it wasn't quite fast enough. Forget there's 2 clicks to hit record. Anyway, guys, as you could see, I've replaced Jeff finally with Joey.
Yeah.
We decided on the Sunday show, Joey's the new guy, and then we're gonna bring Julia in sometimes just for segments. No, not really. Jeff's right now helping out on the redraft show, but I have these lovely people here with me, and we are going to discuss our trade show. Yes, guys, you guys send me some trades. You guys did a better job at not sending me your absolute wins. Where you're like, look how I took advantage of my friend, and it's like it's fine, guys. It's fine. I like you pop those in the comments, but like gloat in the comments. I don't. They're not really easy to discuss on air. With that being said, we're going to talk about Joey's second team, the Lions, and we're going to open up with
Mhm.
Jameson Williams. This person who sent in this trade, I can't say your name. It's 8010 and some letters. If you hit randomize on a password, that's what this name would be. But how high are we on Jameson Williams, folks? This guy traded, or girl, or whatever, traded Jameson Williams for an early to mid first. Joey, we'll start with you since this is your second your spirit team. Are you
This
paying an early first for JMO?
I think that's a good deal that they got. I don't think you have to give up an early first to get him. I think that they got an early first in exchange for him. Way to sell high. He does look like he's going to be a big part of this offense there in Detroit, but that's a little heavy for me. So if you got that mid first for him, well done. Well done. I love that.
Thank you for because I was like, man, I'm gonna be the negative Nelly because I was gonna say like
Mm.
I don't know if I can pay that. That's those are Whole Foods prices, and I'm still I'm still on a Kroger budget when it comes to Jameson Williams. Julia, where are you at on this trade?
And he said a high first, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He got a steal. He got a steal and he should walk away
Hmm.
and take the win. I agree.
And
It's
I'm
a
unsure on which
little too
side of this
rich.
trade you are, but if you're desperate, I'm sorry. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, before we go any further, I got to pay some bills, folks. And if you like this content, if you love, especially if you love Julie and Joey better than Jeff, hit that like, comment to let Jeff know. Jeff, he's one who really thrives on negative reinforcement. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I don't want to create. I don't want you to do that. But if you like
Just
this
a
video,
light, subtle shaming.
just a little bit. Just say that you miss Jeff. Comment that. Say that you miss him. And if you have any more trades that you want us to talk about, always put those in the comments. I will do better at responding to the ones that we don't get to on the show. I'm gonna schedule time and get to you guys later. We also want to talk about our GOAT tier over at footballguys.com/plans. We're in the middle in the heat of our season. I write over there. Julia writes over there. I don't know if Joey writes or not, but Joey's here and we love him, and that helps pay Joey's bills. So go over there and see our wonderful content written by our entire staff, not just the folks that I talked about. And then to give more explanation to our Go tier, we literally chain someone up and we put them to a desk and force them to ask your questions during a designated time. So if that sounds like something that you need to help dominate your league, go over there today. So we'll go over to our next one. Our next trade, it's Roma Odunze. That's someone that I've been telling you guys to buy. It looks like it's going to be a little bit slower than we thought, folks, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but I do love this next trade. J Wolf 2254. They traded Roma, or they traded for Roma Dunze. Um, uh, they they traded away Keon Coleman and a 25 first for Roma Dunze and a 25 second. And thank you for providing this context. They already have 2 firsts and two for this year and next year. I think this is a good use of your first, and I don't love Keon Coleman. Julia, we'll start with you. Where are you at on Keon Coleman and Roma Dunze? It kind of all looks bad right now when you're looking at the box score.
Yeah, I watched that game last night. Poor Caleb Williams. He was living on the ground there. I'm a big Roman Dunze fan. I was a big fan of him from the word go. I think he runs the absolute most beautiful routes, and I think that eventually he will have a chance to actually catch the ball. But you're right. It might take a little longer than we're thinking. He's battling a little bit of an injury, but I think eventually that team and that bromance, like him and Caleb together, will grow old together. I think they are going to grow together. Keon Coleman, I think we were kind of, I have him some places. It was kind of like a throwing dart situation. We didn't really know how the Buffalo offense was going to function. We didn't really know who it was going to go to. It seems like it's solidified a little bit more to be Khalil Shakir over there and Dalton Kincaid when he's not kicked in the head. So I think we might not get as much from Keon Coleman right away as we're hoping. And his ceiling is just not going to be as high. So I think you said it was Rome. I have to get a piece of paper out because I realized like I'm going to have to be writing these things down. Like I've already lost track of how many picks this guy's traded. What was it? He got Rome and he traded Keon Coleman and a first.
Basically, it was Rome. He got Rome, traded Keon, and then did a pick swap. Like he just traded out of the first round for a pick. I like that.
I think it's a great trade.
Well, you get the Julia Papworth. I always want to call you Pappy. I don't know why.
Maybe you can call me that. There's some people at work who call me that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pappy it is. You get the Pappy point of approval. Say that 3 times. So we go over to Joey. Where are you at with this?
Yeah, I love it. I'm a big fan of if you've got multiple picks in a certain round, those are the picks that you can kind of start to part with. And you did a great job of that. Huge upgrade, Odunze over Keon Coleman, if you ask me. Keon Coleman, the best I really saw him going in drafts this last year was maybe the top of the second, maybe. But Odunze, unanimous first-round selection. So I love the value you got here. Julia kind of covered it all. Well done.
Yep. Well done. I love it. Next, we'll go over to Tyreek Hill. And
he's writing
Justin, and Justin Jefferson in a trade here. And I feel sorry that we got to this show after you sent this in because it feels a lot different now that we have more news. We've had some injuries, but Tyreek Hill and DeAndre Swift for Justin Jefferson and J.K. Dobbins. And I believe in this trade, you're getting Jefferson and J.K. Dobbins. That I think it's a win now, especially, but even let's say we put on our time traveler hats, I still think it would be a win getting Justin Jefferson and getting off of Tyreek Hill. Because say what you want about Swift, this was my last year. I ranked him too high in ECR. It's done, folks. I'm killing the dream. I cried about it this morning. So Joey, we'll start with you. Even let's say you're win now or you're rebuilding. What do you think about these trades?
Either way you cut it here, I'm Justin Jefferson, J.K. Dobbins. I want Jefferson over Tyreek Hill. And I don't know. I think DeAndre Swift might just be dust. And at least what we're seeing out of J.K. Dobbins this season, he does look, I mean, isn't he like the number 2 running back in the league right now behind Saquon? Yeah. J.K. Dobbins is having comeback player of the year, early of the year candidate right here. I would rather have both Jefferson and Dobbins here. Like you said, if this was sent before the show, we have a lot more context now where we've seen the week 2 play out. So yeah, it's definitely on the Jefferson Dobbins side for me.
Yeah, I could see the person who took Tyreek. I get where their head's at. I went during the trade, but like this sucks, and I'm really sorry. Julia, where are you at with this?
Yeah, I'm on the Justin Jefferson side too. I think sometimes dynasty players get too hung up with the age. Like we start thinking, oh, this guy's old. We have to get rid of him. And you have to always be thinking about some sort of balance on your roster. Like you're going to need a couple older gentlemen to carry the load. You're not going to have, third year wide receivers, third year running backs and continually be churning them over. So you're going to need someone who's a little bit older. And a little more fragile, if you will. I think that's the thing too with Dobbins. We get nervous that he's going to break, but I think it's a great trade. I think Justin Jefferson is you want him on your dynasty team. You 100% do. And seeing Sam Darnold not be bad, what a joy! What a joy!
It's so good. Good.
I'm so rooting for that guy. Like
he's our new Geno. Like me and Jeff have said this on the show. If anyone deserves this now, it's like Sam Darnold, and it's very similar situations. They both got drafted to the Jets. So fun fact, guys, if you get drafted to the Jets, you might be a good player. We just won't know for 6 years, if not longer. So.
Hold out, Zach Wilson. Your time's coming, buddy.
His time's coming.
Asking for a friend, what happens if you get drafted by the Carolina Panthers?
You're over. It's over. It's done.
We're done. Okay.
I have a lot of Jonathan Brooks that I'm trying not to think about right now. I'll cross that bridge when it comes.
It might be okay. it might be
Yeah,
I
okay.
think he might be okay, but I mean,
Yeah.
Joey
Yeah.
and me were both on the side of Bryce Young,
Well, I
hopefully
don't know what
getting
you're talking
somewhat.
about.
Oh! Would you like?
What?
You running
No.
me over with that truck
No,
right there,
like
bro?
no, like it's Young might just be dust. I mean, I've said that
Yeah.
earlier about DeAndre Swift, but I thought Dave Canales was going to come into that Carolina Panthers offense and just make magic like he did with Geno, and he especially did with Baker Mayfield. But I mean, color me excited because my Bucks are 2-0 and leading the division. But man, the Panthers look like they're in trouble for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like young QBs are fragile and they break easily. And I think we watched it last season, and now we're trying to play with it, and it doesn't work very well.
Mm-hmm.
RIP. And then to make you guys feel better about J.K. Dobbins, one more point here.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's worried about his knee, I'm not a doctor, but he topped out as he tied for the first fastest ball carrier with Saquon Barkley. Do you think Saquon Barkley is dust? Which I don't think anyone here does or anyone listening. I think J.K. Dobbins is fine, and I wish I would have bought. I had as many opportunities as everyone, and I was worried too. Don't kick yourself too much. None of us are doctors here, unless you are a doctor and you're a listener.
I'm not.
You're not.
Hashtag not a doctor.
Our next person is someone I've been an absolute hater for, and I'm not victory lapping or anything like that, but Jordan Addison. I didn't like him pre-draft. And when he got drafted, I said he went to the absolute best place he could go. And he has performed. He has put up stats as a rookie, but it just seems to be problem after problem. So Kyle Coleman, 5174, traded Jordan Addison for Brian Robinson Jr. All that slander aside, you're trading a wide receiver for a running back, and that is positional value. And normally, if you listen to this show, we tell you to value those wide receivers a little bit more. With that being said, we've had 2 great weeks of Brad Robinson Jr. He seems to be the best asset on that Washington team that isn't Jaden Daniels. So do you think this is a good move? Julia, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a little bit of context would be nice to know who his other wide receivers are, but yeah, I think I'm a big fan of Brian Robinson. I think he is going to be a big part of that offense for a long time, and I have the same feeling as you do about Jordan Addison. I feel like he's going to be the guy where something is always wrong with him. Something is always hurting, he's always missing a couple games or something like that. And yeah, I think I would do that. I would have done that deal. Just get out from under it if you have a bad feeling about it too. That's the weird thing in Dynasty. If you have a gut feeling about someone, I feel like I would want to move away from that person rather than just sit there and stew and see them on my team. I would just want to get out.
Actually, I'll give you the context. It actually does. I hunted it
great.
down because I thought I remembered it. He said that this was a startup, and in Superflex, he went 0 RB. So that, with that being said, I know that he's got probably a lot of wide receiver value. This is a win, my guy. This is I don't know when you did this startup or not, but you're feeling pretty good at this point that you're getting rid of something and then getting a huge need. Joey, what are your thoughts on Brian Robinson? Do you think he's like an RB1 this year, or do you think this is just kind of good matchups?
I was on the other side of this trade until you gave me the context. The only way I was going to say I like this trade is if you needed the running back. He went 0 RB, and he's trading Jordan Addison. I'm not exactly giving up on Jordan Addison. He had 10 touchdowns last year. I know you shouldn't chase touchdowns, but he does seem like he will be involved in this Vikings offense. And Sam Darnold has looked good. I almost said Sam Bradford, but I didn't. I said Sam Darnold, gay Joey. But no, I'm not giving up on Addison, but with the context of this trade, going out and getting Brian Robinson, he's looked really good. He was a player that I absolutely loved, and then he had that incident where unfortunately, he with the gunshot, but he bounced right back, and he looks even better this year. So yeah, I do like him as a player. But if you go out there and you have Addison, maybe hold him if you don't need to get rid of him.
No. And like I said, situationally, when I say I didn't like him, a lot of people thought that he would be a wide receiver 1. And I was like, nah, he's someone that needs to be across from someone else. And then when you're across the best wide receiver in football, and then on top of that, they have Hawks still. And yeah. I know Hawks injured, but he's still 26 years old. I was looking at that. I was like, it feels like he's been in the league forever. I feel
forever.
Forever. He came out of high school. I feel like almost 26.
He's been
So
growing that hair since he was like 8. It's down to here
yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, Julia does hair, so she looks at that, and I know she
I
wants
do
to get some
notice.
clippers
It's,
to it.
my God, I want to do your hair so bad. Your
Never.
hair looks so fun.
Never. Jamar Chase is our next one over here. I got a quick pivot. You're talking about getting scissors to this hair. I haven't got a haircut in 6 years. Jamar Chase, guys, he's down bad to the
Mm.
interwebs, to the bros on Twitter. They are, and for real, we got another episode coming up. We're going to talk about wide receivers, and we really need to discuss kind of some of these guys that, like, Jamar Chase has been an automatic top 3 guy since he's been in the league, and now there's a legitimate argument that he won't be. So J Will NBA, you reached out to me on Twitter, which is the fastest way to get a hold of me. He said that he traded for Jamar Chase, but he sent Tank Dell a first and a second. Knowing like today, would you do that, Joey? I see your face. What do you think? It's a
So
lot.
here's the thing. Up until yesterday, actually, I'll say the last 2 weeks, Jamar Chase is my dynasty wide receiver 1. I loved his
Same.
situation the most. Sam Darnold, coming in to start for the Vikings. I was like, that's all I need to put Jefferson behind Jamar Chase. Tank Dell hasn't looked super great either. So it's not like the Tank Dell. But the thing is you're giving up a first and a second plus Tank Dell for Chase. I mean, you're paying up to get him. I do think when Jamar Chase gets that contract, we'll see him stop fighting with the referees as much. We'll see him settle in and get back to what he used to be with Joe Burrow. But when is that going to be? Cincinnati, please give that man his money. Give that man the bag so that we can get our sweet, sweet Jamar Chase back.
Mm-hmm. Pappy, what do you think?
Yeah, I never understand why these guys don't pay their people. Like, you're gonna pay your people, right? Why are we doing this? Because now the man's angry. Like, it was very clear that entire game yesterday, he's very angry. And it's watching him with Burrow too. It's like, and those guys are friends. That was hard to see like that. Yeah, I think this guy gave away a little too much. I'm more of a believer in Tank Dell than I think Joey might be. But that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, I agree. If you're looking at your next draft and you've already given away your first and your second, that's a little scary. And like Joey said, we don't know when this Chase is going to get back to normal, right? Like right now it's not right. Like he has the talent and he has the guy throwing it to him, but when is his attitude going to change? So
Yeah, and then like Tank Dell, I know, guys, this is why you come to this show, because we do the research that you don't have to. I know you're looking at the box score on Tank Dell, and you're like, well, Stephon Diggs is in town and it's over. He had 7 targets the first game. Last game, he like 2 huge plays were dropped. Those are gonna hit, guys. Like, let's put it this way: do you think CJ Stroud sucks? If your answer is no, then it'll be all right. CJ Stroud just missed him on one. It happens, and what I tell people, what happens to these offenses when you have a lot of pieces, not so much the 49ers now since we got the Debo news, but the 49ers, there's a Debo day, there's an Ayuk day, there's a Kittle day, and that's what happens when you have good people, and it's fantasy. You put them out there and then you know that you have the upside and you just need to accept the variance. And I think that's where we got what we have with Tank Dell. I would pay like Tank Dell for a second or first, maybe, but it's like the 2 picks, especially in a class that I think people are underrating, particularly at wide receiver. I think that like you might have overpaid a little bit. With that being said, though, I don't think, I brought up like people think Jamar Chase sucks. That's not the case. Everyone was like, well, what about last year? Burrow was hurt. So let me put it this way: do you think Jake Browning is a starting caliber QB? If your answer is no, then it'll be okay. I think the real issue is that Zach Taylor isn't so good, and then Brian Callahan is gone, and he's really not so good. So you just need to be patient. He's young. Tank Dell's young. It's week 2, guys. Let's just be calm.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Joey, you're gonna love
Yeah.
this next trade. You're gonna love this next trade because again, this was one. Jay, Will, I'm sorry. I'm almost didn't want to pull this trade, or I didn't pull your other one because you sent this to me the hour before we recorded last week. So this, like, so much has happened in 7 days. We've lived lifetimes since that time. So to give like you guys context on here, he received JJ McCarthy, but he traded away Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin, Zamir White and Dylan Laube, that might be a favor at this point. I love
Yeah.
Laube, but he's not even playing. But he got JJ McCarthy in a 25 first. Ah,
Is
I'm
it super
sorry, man.
flex?
It's super flex. It
Oh, is it?
doesn't matter though, Joe. It's arguably worse if it's super flex. So Joey, we'll let it go. I know you're a resident Bucks fan. What do you, this is
He
an
just
L.
traded away the QB1. How can he do
Yeah.
that? Baker
And,
is
like,
the QB. I'm gonna say it until it's not true anymore. He's the
Yeah.
QB1 right
I
now
think
in the
Godwin's
NFL.
like the wide receiver 1 or 2. Like he's
Yes.
top 5.
Yeah.
I
Like-
said when Godwin has moved back to the slot, we've seen what he can do. He has wide receiver 2 upside, and he is outperforming that. That being said, if that was a 25 first and it's an early first, JJ McCarthy in an early first, I understand this. Zamir White and Dylan Laub do nothing for me in this trade. It's the Baker Chris Godwin part of it that I'm looking at. Honestly, as much as I love Baker, he's 29. He is. And I do think there are really good days for JJ McCarthy on the horizon. I think it's actually pretty even. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I think I agree with Joey too. And there's that whole idea of like, are you going to get out a season too early or are you going to get out a season too late? Right. Like if you think that, yeah, you could ride Baker, great. You could win this, this season. But if you don't have the other parts to make it happen, then what if he starts to fall off? He's older. Then what are you going to get for him?
Yeah.
Jay, well, if you are a win now, this is a perfect win now trade. You have done exactly what you need to do to win now. And I love it in that context. So.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, where we're at with quarterbacks, like we were saying that Carr's cooked, and everyone did. I'm not really gonna tell anyone, to fade a quarterback that's still producing. Especially like look at Aaron Rodgers. He's still playing. They're playing the 36. You can't call Baker old. Chris Godwin is still incredibly productive. And I guess like I should clip this like to like Jordan McNamara and Chad Parsons who write for us. They have been huge proponents on a lot of these older guys. They are 100% right. Until we actually see the decline and a sharp decline, it's almost worth the risk to take on some of these older vets than it is getting them out early, especially when they're in the same situation. Mike Evans has gone nowhere. He's been in Tampa Bay putting up 10 TD, 1,000-yard seasons year in and year out. Like it hasn't stopped. Like he is the Terminator. Like him and Derrick Henry, they're Terminators. And I'm sorry. With that being said, go out and buy Chris Godwin, guys, or Baker Mayfield.
Good luck.
Yeah. Now I'm going to break my own heart. We're going to move to our last trade of this particular show. Garrett Wilson. This trade again, Cooper Kupp's going to miss a couple of weeks, but I think he's going to come back and he's going to be Cooper Kupp because of how he plays. So I'm really having a conversation of what we're doing with Garrett Wilson. Tim Crabtree and some letters. I don't know what those are. Tim Crabtree received Cooper Kupp and Aaron Rodgers, and he traded away Garrett Wilson. This is a real thinker here. Where are you at with this, Joey?
I want Garrett Wilson. Aaron Rodgers has maybe at most, what are we going to say? At the very most 3 seasons left in the league. I'm saying more like 1 or 2. I truly believe that he'll only be in New York another season or 2. Cooper Kupp for Garrett Wilson. I think that's kind of what I'm looking at here. If you're in a situation where you maybe had Tua and you're afraid he's, not going to come back this season and you need a quarterback to get by, I think you've made a good trade here. They're going to have to eat something a little while until Cooper Kupp gets back, but then you're okay. But if you didn't need the quarterback, I would have much rather had Garrett Wilson in Dynasty.
And Julie, before we get to you, I don't know where you are with this, but like for me, I hate having to explain away, but I know what I see on film. I know football pretty well. Garrett Wilson is a quality wide receiver. I would say he is an elite wide receiver. Do you know who's never been called elite ever? Nathaniel Hackett. And yeah, it's like it's not Garrett Wilson's fault the offense looks like this. So like, where are you with this, knowing what we know about Cooper Kupp and knowing that Aaron Rodgers is like, he could be a tackle away from it being over. And I know every player is, but he seems especially a tackle away.
Well, he might be just like a dark cave retreat away from this being over. Like he could literally like, there is definitely a world that exists that after the season, Aaron Rodgers goes, you know what, I'm good. We're just going to go, and rides his horse off into the distance. And look, I'm with Joey on this side. I'm on the Garrett Wilson side, and I am a massive Cooper Kupp fan. And I was way pro Kupp I was very cup half full for this season. Now I'm very cup half empty because of what it has dealt me and all of my teams. But I think Garrett Wilson has shown that no matter the circumstance, and he's been in some really bad circumstances, he is gonna get the targets, and he's such a good wide receiver. He is going to get the yardage. He might not get the touchdowns in the situations that he had in some of the past quarterbacks, but he's going to be dependable. He's going to get his opportunities. So I definitely would go Garrett Wilson on this one.
Yep. Thank you guys. You make me feel good, because I'm still buying Garrett Wilson. Like, to me, if anything, what's happened is I'm going to buy Garrett Wilson even harder now. Like, you're telling me that I could get him as like a wide receiver 2 or 3 at this point. I'm not going to overpay for him. I will pay market prices of what you guys are telling me, though, and go out and get him, because I know for a fact Garrett Wilson's going to be around next year. I don't know where Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett is, and that's why we kind of buy talent. There's a guy I know called DJ Moore who struggled a long time, and he was still productive, but it wasn't as good as everyone thought he was, because he was at someone that we were talking about, a place, called Carolina, where Panthers go to die, apparently. So, so you gotta stick it out, guys. Well, that'll be it for this show. We're gonna have, I don't know when this is going to go out, but we'll have Julia and Joey out back with us throughout the season. Give us a like, subscribe, tell Jeff that you miss him, tell Joey and Julia that you love them, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Joey, you want to say something before you go?
I was told actually that you guys were just going to AI Jeff's face over me since I wore a dad hat and a polo. Oh, it's just be a quarter zip. Then it would have been.
It's
Jeff,
a quarter. Yeah, you got to get your Manning quarter zip, and then you're just Jeff all over that. Like, and then I'll fix it in post. I'll put a Bills poster to cover up your quality movies.
Wait, let me look this way. Hey guys, no.
Oh man, that was good. Yep.
Okay.
Well, we'll love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.